Greetings, fellow Earthlings. Welcome back to Astrology Today. I am your host, Mel Rose, and today is Friday, May 23, 2025. This is your weekend in astrology. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for checking in on your regular current astrology. I want to take just a moment here to orient us. When you look at the astrology chart, look first at the center because you are here. The chart we use the most in Western astrology is Earth-centered because we started drawing these things back when, for all we knew, the Earth was at the center of everything. We had no idea what a planet was, let alone that we were on one of several planets, and none of them are at the center of our own solar system. Times have changed. Our understanding of reality has become more complex and sophisticated. And so astrology, once considered a high science, is now thought of as more of a pseudoscience. But you have to understand that this is a pseudoscience that has been handed down through 1,000,000 years worth of generations. We have been fully human on this planet at least that long. And we have been looking at the stars, developing a language of symbolism based on the seasons and the movement of certain points of light against the backdrop of certain other points of light. If you go out on a clear night and look up, you'll find that the planets on the current chart are in the right positions in the sky. Astrology is looking at our solar system with this Earth-centered view, which is representative of what we can see, but it isn't accurate in terms of the greater reality of the real positions of things. So it's not that astrology is an exact reflection of what's really happening in the sky. It's more that astrology is a time-tested reflection of the human experience, even from prehistoric times, stories which have been assigned symbolically to certain points of light in the sky. Astrology is an oral tradition passed down to us from civilizations much older and more sophisticated than we understand. It contains the entire human story. It's a gift of wisdom, and I'm so happy you're here with me to share in that. This week, the sun moved on into Gemini. That was Tuesday. And having some motivating conversations here with Saturn and with Neptune. There's the conversation with Saturn, and there's the conversation with Neptune right there. Sun in Gemini is a time when our outward-facing lives become about self-expression and collaboration with our partners. And in the Gemini myth, famously, a brother who was part god refused to be elevated without his twin, who was merely human. The partnership he shared with his twin made that person too important to him to be left behind. So when the gods came along and offered him a place among them, he would only go if he could bring his human twin. There's so much in that myth, but I think much of it comes back to partnership and the importance of remembering our own humanity. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, the messenger. That's Mercury right there. Mercury is the intellect, the communicator. We need partnership and collaboration with others to strengthen our efforts in the world. It takes the assistance and input of people who understand what we're trying to do. And the message of Gemini is to value what those partnerships add to your ability to be yourself and do what inspires you. Now, the waning crescent moon is in Aries today, and as we slip away toward the new moon on Monday, may the Aries vibration right there allow us to set boundaries for ourselves and others that help us maintain safe home surroundings. And with the sun in Gemini and the moon in Aries fire, good ideas spread like wildfire. Notice what inspires you most about what you're seeing and hearing in the media and from the people around you. Now, tomorrow, the waning crescent moon will move on into Taurus. This is that slow down and follow through vibe that helps us take care of material business, especially at home and in our private lives. And, you know, like I said, the moon will be new in Gemini on Monday. So there's a new moon moving on into Gemini on Monday. The new moon is like a reset button on our monthly creative cycle. It's a time to come back home to yourself and observe what you have and give thanks before beginning again to imagine what's next. And we'll discuss that again on Monday or in Monday's show. But there's so much more than that going on this weekend, friends. So first of all, first thing tomorrow, and that's Saturday, the 24th, the Gemini sun is going to perfect a state of grace here with Pluto in Aquarius. And you can see I already have that line drawn in there, but I'm gonna accentuate it with a green line here. To me, that feels like something is being revealed that maybe felt like it should have been obvious, and it comes up, sort of bubbles out very easily. But whatever is turned over here, having the sun in this position allows us to interpret and express what we find in ways that can inspire and motivate fundamental change. So that's that one right there. Second thing tomorrow, Saturn is moving on into Aries. So here's Saturn on the chart. Saturn is moving on into Aries. Look at all of these transitions happening. There's two of those on the chart today. So, is that right? No, that is the third thing tomorrow, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. Saturn is moving on into Aries. So after a 3-year transit in Pisces, all right, Saturn, you know, Saturn traveling in Pisces has just been where we seem to learn a lot about how things can fall apart. Saturn is structure and Pisces dissolves. So, you know, after learning about all these messages of how things can fall apart, Saturn is starting to dip his toe into Aries. You can expect to feel a new sense of motivation and clarity to build things that will last, okay? Whether that is in your relationship to yourself or to others, or whether it be a business or a career or a home or a community, Saturn in Aries, okay, is the beginning of an approximate 36-year cycle of creating new approaches to foundation, structure, and security. So, and we're going to come back to talking about that a little bit, but I also want to go back to the second thing tomorrow, which is that Mercury is going to meet up in the sky right here with Uranus. That's a big conjunction. They appear from our perspective here in the middle to be occupying the same place at the same time, okay? We just had the Sun and Uranus do this last week, so this feels like a further expression, perhaps some clarification of details that began to come out around that time. Lots of shocking stuff in the news right now, friends, and hang tight because third thing tomorrow, Saturn moves into Aries, and we just talked about that, so I won't go back over it, but it is the beginning of a new 36-year cycle, so 36-year cycle, so we want to be thinking about what we're trying to establish at this time. All right, then moving on into Sunday evening, Mercury joins the Sun and Jupiter in Gemini, okay? And the moon for that matter. So it's going to be very Gemini heavy vibe by Sunday evening. Wherever Mercury goes, it is interpreting and expressing the vibration of that place. And when Mercury keeps company with other planets, it also takes on some of the messages that they are spreading. And Mercury rules Gemini. So Mercury is right at home. It's on the mic. It's ready to broadcast simply for the joy of sharing, because information, like sunlight, is free. Okay, and then just about an hour later, Mercury will have its first talk with Saturn in Aries in a few decades. So Mercury will move over to here to where the Sun is, and then it will be in position to do this sextile as well. Same kind of purple line. Mercury will be over here by that point, but it's a cooperative vibration. And this is a conversation, like I said, it's been 36 years since this conversation has happened. This is a conversation that might, or 30 or so years since this conversation might have happened. This is a conversation that may harken back to much earlier times for many of us, okay? I'm 52, so if I look back 36 years, I'm looking back at least into my teen years. There is planning here to be done. There is collaboration in making a strong start on those things that we want to establish over the next 36 years, right? Okay. Overall, I would say this weekend is quite active, astrologically speaking. I wouldn't be surprised if more exciting things are revealed in the media. Some things are becoming abundantly clear to us all right now, for better or for worse. Saturn and Mercury both changing signs this weekend and then vibing together. This says we're on talks to establish new ways of finding security, regularity, structure, and what we think of as being solid foundations. The habits that you subscribe to and the commitments you make at this time will be with you in one way or another for the next 3 decades. So take your time, choose wisely. And that's it for this weekend's astrology, friends. You can catch Jennifer live tomorrow for her Saturday astrology recap, and then we'll both be live here on Sunday at 10 a.m. to offer a preview of the week ahead and a live tarot card reading. I hope to see you there. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next video.